Welcome to the Deep Dive. We've got a fantastic stack of sources you've shared with us today, really digging into the absolute latest in tech and innovation.
Yeah, some fascinating reading.
Our mission, like always, is to sort of cut through the noise, connect those dots, and get right to the heart of what's genuinely important, maybe even surprising, about how fast tech is moving. We're not just looking at the shiny new things, but really, what does it all mean for you, for all of us, and the world we're building?
Exactly. It's about spotting those big foundational shifts, the things really shaping our future, from how we interact online to, well, actual robots showing up in our lives.
Okay, so diving into these sources you sent, one theme just leaps out, almost screams for attention. It's this idea that the cost of intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, is basically going to zero. They talk about a new era where intelligence is just everywhere, almost free. What's the real impact of that beyond just getting cool apps?
Well, it's incredibly profound, really. Think about it on the consumer side first. Imagine having easy access to, say, an AI tutor for any subject.
Wow. Okay.
Or even an AI doctor for initial consults. It just democratizes expertise that used to be locked up,
What?
breaks down barriers.
Access for everyone.
And then for businesses, it's a massive shakeup. Knowledge workers, well, their jobs will be augmented. They'll become sort of super powered by AI. But, and this is the other side, it also means some tasks, maybe even whole jobs, could eventually be replaced. How we work is definitely changing. No question.
And you can see the investment world is all over this. The sources point to firms like AIX Ventures. They're backing these companies with huge ideas, big visions, they call them.
Uh-huh. The world changer.
Yeah, exactly. They focus on that first check, investing really early. And they specifically mention Perplexity AI as an example.
Right, Perplexity.
Described as redefining knowledge engines. They even mentioned the new browser coming out, Comet. What's that tell us about where the smart money thinks information access is going?
Well, what's interesting about Perplexity is it's not just another search engine. It's rethinking how we actually find and synthesize information, moving past just lists of links to getting direct, intelligent answers.
Ah, okay, more direct.
Yeah. And this investment trend, especially into companies like Perplexity, it really fits the bigger picture. This whole cost to zero intelligence thing, it's fueling intense M&A.
Mergers and acquisitions.
Exactly. Big players, Amazon, Meta, OpenAI, they're aggressively buying up smaller AI startups. And it's happening at all stages, from tiny teams just starting out to pretty established companies.
So they're just snapping them up.
Pretty much. It shows how critical it is for them to build their own AI talent, their own native teams, and just weave AI into everything they do. It's becoming fundamental.
Right, baked into the core. And it's not just these big tech giants internally, it's shaking up whole industries. Yeah. Advertising comes up a lot in the sources.
Oh.
Generative AI is apparently lowering the barrier to entry, boosting productivity like crazy. Creative stuff, ad buying, launch, optimization, reporting, the whole workflow. How big of an overhaul are we really seeing there?
It's significant, no doubt, especially on the efficiency side. But it brings up this really interesting debate about human creativity.
Okay.
You've got Mark Zuckerberg making this incredibly bold statement saying all human intervention will be removed from advertising by the end of 2026.
That sounds extreme.
It does. And the sources show that major chief marketing officers, the CMOs, they don't really buy that, not fully. They argue that those breakthrough creative ideas, the ones that really cut through culture, you can't just outsource that to an algorithm.
Right. There's a spark missing, maybe?
That's the feeling.
Right.
One estimate mentioned was more like 50% removal of human work, not 100, which is still huge.
50% is definitely still huge. But are the CMOs maybe underestimating how fast AI is learning? Or is there some fundamental human spark AI just won't get in ads?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And it makes you wonder about authenticity, too. TikTok, for instance. The sources say it's got generative AI now that can help make influencer content.
Yeah, that's blurring the lines.
Totally. So if an ad impression, something you see, is AI generated, are advertisers going to pay the same as if a real human influencer made it? That feels like a whole new trust issue.
It absolutely is, and it's something the industry really needs to figure out. But despite all these questions about AI and authenticity, TikTok is still a giant.
Still dominant.
Yeah, holding strong as the third most trafficked channel globally shows you the power of these platforms, even as the tech underneath shifts so quickly.
Okay, so we've talked AI in the digital space, but here's where it gets really interesting, maybe even a little sci-fi. what happens when this intelligence gets legs? Literally, robots.
Ah, yes, the physical manifestation.
Our sources highlight some really groundbreaking stuff here, especially from a company called 1X Technologies.
Mm.
They seem to be pushing the boundaries of physical AI.
They really are. What's fascinating about 1X is what they call their world model. They claim it's the first of its kind.
A world model, what does that mean?
Think of it like it lets the robots simulate the future. They can run virtual tests of how specific actions would play out before trying them in the real world.
Okay, like a practice run simulator.
Exactly, but super advanced. It lets them test new AI models at massive scale without needing tons of real-world data initially. That's critical for developing better, safer robots for physical tasks. It's a safe training ground.
And the big picture goal sounds enormous. Creating an actual abundance of artificial labor. I mean, that sounds like a direct solution for all those hard-to-fill jobs in manufacturing services.
That's the ambition. It could fundamentally reshape labor markets. It's a huge goal.
So how are they actually rolling this out? How do you get from a lab to, abundance?
Well, their strategy is interesting. Their long-term goal is that artificial labor for industry, but they decided to go into homes first.
Homes first. Why there? Seems counterintuitive.
The thinking is that homes provide an incredible diversity of data in a relatively safe, unstructured environment. They can learn a lot from the messiness of real life, basically.
Okay, so learned in the wild, but a controlled wild.
Sort of, yeah. And they mentioned tasks their beta robots are already doing in homes. Tidying up, cleaning, vacuuming, even laundry.
Laundry. Okay, now you have my attention.
Right, and there's even a social aspect, like being a companion. Now, they're upfront that the hardware is still a bit brittle, meaning it might need a little nudge sometimes. It's not perfectly smooth yet. But they stress the software, the intelligence, the magic is getting there.
Progress, not perfection yet.
Exactly. And the long-term vision, it's huge. Robots building other robots, building energy infrastructure, data centers, chip fabs, things that could have a tremendous impact on our GDP rate.
Wow.
But they're careful to say this is years away. Then again, they add, years is not that long in the grand scheme of things.
Right, the pace of change is just accelerating. So doing laundry is a big step. And I guess they aren't doing this completely alone. The sources mentioned NVIDIA as an amazing partner.
Yeah, that partnership is key. NVIDIA brings a lot to the table.
Like what specifically?
Powerful hardware, obviously, but also their super fast simulators, which are vital for that training before deploying approach. Embedded computing power for the robots themselves, making them self-contained. And they use NVIDIA's infrastructure for the heavy-duty AI training.
So it's a symbiotic relationship.
Very much so. It shows you how interconnected this cutting-edge stuff is. You rarely see major breakthroughs happen in total isolation.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And how does 1X's approach compare to the other big names in humanoids, like Figure AI, Agility, Tesla's Optimus? Are they all chasing the same thing?
Not quite the same way. Many others, like Figure or Agility, seem focused on getting robots useful in structured places like factories relatively quickly. A specific task, a specific environment.
Practical applications first.
Right. 1X has this core mission that's slightly different. They emphasize making robots safe so they can live and learn among people. Their belief is that this is how you get truly intelligent machines through diverse, safe, real-world interaction.
Learning by living, essentially.
Kind of, and a big part of that strategy is also making them extremely affordable for consumers eventually. So it's this dual focus, safety and accessibility, learning among humans.
Fascinating difference in philosophy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What does all this mean for the tech closer to hand? Stuff in our pockets, cars on the road.
Right, mobile and transport.
The sources touched on developments there, too. And speaking of mobile, they also covered this new venture from the Trump family, Trump Mobile.
Yes.
They're using what's called an MVNO model, mobile virtual network operator.
Meaning they don't build their own towers.
Exactly. They license capacity from the big guys, the 3 major U.S. carriers. The price is just under $50 a month. $47.45 is the number mentioned. Positioned as competitive for niche markets. And it includes extras like roadside assistance, international calling. Oh, and there's a phone. A $499 gold-colored Android phone with the family logo. It's quite the package.
It is an interesting market entry. And it touches on that recurring theme or ambition of made in America smartphones.
Yeah. Is that actually feasible at scale?
Well, there's a reason the industry doesn't really do it now. Making smartphones at scale in the U.S., You just don't have the specialized talent pool readily available or the physical resources, the complex equipment needed. It's incredibly capital intensive.
People have tried, though, right?
Yeah, remember Motorola's Moto X attempt back in 2013 in Dallas? It ultimately failed because the costs were just too high compared to overseas manufacturing. So the question for this new venture is, are they aiming for real scale, or is it more likely to be a, small limited run? The sources didn't really clarify that part.
A boutique phone, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, moving from phones to cars. Self-driving. Tesla comes up again.
Always does.
The sources suggest Tesla might have a real edge here. Their vehicle cost is way lower than Waymo's, like 1/7. And their camera-based approach is seen as much easier to scale.
Those are definitely points in their favor.
Plus, this potentially huge win, China apparently opening its market for Tesla to export its training data collected there. How big a deal are these factors?
They're significant, especially the data. Access to diverse global data is absolutely crucial for training autonomous systems. However, we need a dose of realism here.
Okay, temper the excitement.
A little. Tesla's full self-driving, despite the name, is still officially a level 2 system. Driver assistance, not full autonomy.
Right, hands on the wheel, eyes on the road.
Exactly. And the leap from that to a system that can truly drive a car with no one in the driver's seat, that jump is still going to be a while. Consumers need to see near-perfect reliability, like 99.99% accuracy, before they'll trust it. That's an incredibly high bar.
So progress, but a long road still.
Definitely. But that data advantage Tesla has, having tons of training data from around the world, that is undeniable. Data fuels AI, and they have a massive tank of it. That's their key differentiator right now.
Got it. And while we're talking about widely used tech changing, Meta introducing ads into WhatsApp.
Yeah, in the Updates tab, like Stories.
It's a new revenue stream for them. They say they're aiming not to invade private chats, but still, putting ads in WhatsApp feels like a shift.
It absolutely signifies that ongoing push to monetize these massive popular platforms, even the ones historically focused on privacy.
Makes sense from their side. But speaking of communication and privacy, there was a really useful security tip in the sources.
Oh yeah, the SMS codes, that's important.
Explain that one. One-time login codes sent by text message, they're not totally secure.
Not completely private, no. When you get that code via SMS, it actually gets routed through various intermediary networks, and there's often little oversight on those routes. It creates a potential vulnerability. Someone could intercept it.
Okay, so what's the safer way?
Use an authenticator app on your phone instead. Things like Google Authenticator, Authy, or others built into password managers. These apps generate the code right there on your device.
Ah, so it doesn't travel over the network.
Exactly. It doesn't rely on network transmission for the code itself, making it much more secure. It's a simple switch most people can make for a good boost in security. Definitely recommended.
That is a fantastic practical tip. Thanks for highlighting that. Wow, okay, we have covered a lot of ground today.
We really have.
From, the implications of practically free AI intelligence shaping everything to actual humanoid robots learning in homes and maybe taking over jobs someday.
Right, through to changes in mobile,
Yeah.
the long path to self-driving cars.
And that critical security insight just now, it's a whirlwind.
It really underscores how technology isn't just advancing incrementally anymore. It feels like it's fundamentally reshaping how we live, how we work, how we interact every single day.
So many opportunities.
Incredible opportunities, yeah. But also, as we touched on, some really big questions we need to grapple with as a society.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. Given how incredibly fast AI and robotics are moving forward, and just how much data is being collected and processed, how is our own understanding of what it means to be human going to evolve? Especially when intelligent machines are living alongside us, learning from us, maybe even creating content that seriously blurs that line of authenticity we talked about.
Something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for sharing the sources that sparked this whole deep dive today. We really appreciate you being here with us.